Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s, giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Good. Well, we have a lot of topics to get into tonight as usual. And to start it off with the Le'Veon Bell situation, this past year he gave up, 14.5 million essentially to sit out this season and having the desire to be an unrestricted free agency this March, and now he's free to sign wherever he wants. And to me, the running back is still not a great long-term investment. Their skill is obvious upside there, but in terms of it being a long-term investment, I've always felt like and we talked about it with Mr. Johnny the week before the Super Bowl. There is a short shelf life, things of that nature, with them not being as dependable and down the stretch. And you've talked about how you feel as though it's been diminished, kind of like unjustly, and there's been that back and forth just element to it all. And obviously, with him having more yards from scrimmage in his first 62 games than any other player since 1950, he's going to be he's a high level player, but with Pittsburgh, it was almost the thing that they weren't in an immediate rush to just give in to what he wanted, because of the fact, I think the running back is not a great long-term investment. And that's like the reoccurring theme. But with possible landing spots, I don't know if there are a couple teams that you think could be in that mix. For me, I would probably say the Jets, because, this is a team that probably could use an elite running back. They've been in positions where they've gotten veteran guys who may be on the down spiral of their career, even though I think Bell is 29 and still has obvious upside. But what are like a couple landing spots you could see for Bell in the next couple of weeks?
Well, you took mine, but no, that's a perfect spot to go to. Excuse me, with the the New York Jets, because they are the pretty much the only team that has the cap space for his $60 million total deal, like he wants, like Todd Gurley did this year. But if they want to run it back who can come in and make an immediate impact, that's Le'Veon Bell in the passing game and in the running game. I know the stock of the running back has decreased from season to season, but I think with Le'Veon Bell, you get a guy who's going to give you his all. Yes, he's been injured in the past for a couple of years with his knee injuries, ACL tears, but he at one point was the best running back for 4 years straight out of Michigan State. So let's not say this guy is just a mediocre running back and his stock has went down. No, I'm not saying you is, but a lot of people are saying, why would people spend a total of $60 million on a guy who sat out a couple times, who's been injured? But that's the same thing with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley came in the situation from Georgia and still was able to get a big contract from the Rams. So it's just, I think the Jets are the biggest landing spot, because he's been in New York for a past couple of months. He's checking social media, so they have a big upside for that. But I also think the Oakland Raiders, who has clean house, are they moving to Las Vegas, so they'll have some room to move around in cap space. They need a running back. No dish to Marshawn Lynch or any of those running backs there, but they're not Le'Veon Bell. And they need that 1-2 punch to help Carr get back to the days before he got hurt, before they were going on that big streak, going to the playoffs and lost to the playoffs because they didn't have Carr. He went out. And then last year was just a flurry of uppercuts and self-inflicted wounds by their head coach. So I think the top two spots definitely will be the Jets and the Raiders, ideally. But any team could benefit from Le'Veon Bell's services.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely think that he's still in really formidable, just high level. Still has a couple of high levels type seasons left in the tank, and there's immediate upside when you get a player like that. But it's interesting because him and his agent Adisa Bakari, they were talking about that this whole situation with him sitting out, it was about principle as much as it was profit. And he wanted to set the standard for, guys like David Johnson and Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley, and he wants to be valued at wherever he is. Like, how much of, if you had to give kind of a nod to like which element is like more important in terms of just whether it be the monetary value or the principle in terms of him just making sure his value is established, like which one do you think is really, in terms of what you're seeing from him, that is more valuable right now?
What, outside of football or inside football?
Yeah, I mean, do you think the outside in terms of him setting, because he was talking about, look, I've got all the money I need. My family's in a great position. The only thing I don't really have is a Super Bowl, and now I just want to establish my value. Like, do you think him is just establishing like I need to feel as though I'm being valued at the amount and the worth that I should be?
I think that's the most significant because the running back position has decreased. The value of the running back has decreased vastly over the last 7 years. Probably I'll go a step further, the last 12 years, to be honest, because the game has transitioned to a 5-wide spread open. Let's gunsling it the entire game. Quarterbacks are averaging 40 throws now when it used to be 25, 30 to give them rest and pound the run game and depend on the running game to win ball games. Now that's not the case anymore. When guys like Tiki Barber was a running back position, the big-time guys, Ahmad Green and Green Bay Packers, where the game was more ground and pound and ground attack. Now it's air arsenal. How many wide receivers can we get on one field? How many weapons can we get to our quarterback to make the situation even better for us? So the running back position has decreased, and I like what Le'Veon Bell did because he's not looking for the money. I'm looking to see in the free agency if he's going to take a pay cut just to get the Super Bowl. If that's the case, all 32 teams are
on the table.
able to get on the table. Buccaneers could use them, but they don't have the cap space. They have they need a running back. They didn't have a good running back in a long, long time. I say a complete running back is more done. They need a running back. They don't have the space though. But if he's willing to take that pay cut,
if that's what he's saying, if he's saying I'm willing to take that pay cut, he's pretty much saying I'm open for business for anybody.
For anybody. So we don't know what he's looking for because we don't know if he's trying to set we know he's trying to set the stage and do a statement saying, okay, running backs need more. They need more. I'm just gonna say they need more. They need more.
They need more.
They need more. They need more from the organization. They need more from their team. They need some acknowledgement, So yeah. I don't know if he's just wanting that. Because if that's the case, he would have stayed with Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh didn't want to pay him. So now I'm thinking he's trying to do both. But if he's doing both, his things is going to be limited because not all the teams can give him that $60 million total contract he's looking for, like Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So you would say either the Jets or the Raiders.
Either Jets or they have the most space because if they really wanted to, that's because they have like two first round draft picks and a couple second round draft picks to play with. Now, if they really wanted to spend the money, because they can still do the rookie contract or the other guys in the second and seventh round and give one guy a big contract or two guys a big contract and still have enough money to go get Le'Veon Bell. But I don't know if they want to do that. But I would. If I was, you get rid of Khalil Mack, you get rid of Amari Cooper. They go off and flourish in different organizations. Now it's a punch in the face. Now what you're left with, you're still in a good situation with the Raiders. You have a couple first-round draft picks. Or do you want to – I don't know. It's up in the air for them because they have so many avenues they could go down to. So, but those are the two top twos. Because the San Francisco 49ers perhaps may get them, but they just paid Jerry McKinnon. Matt Breida is playing well. They have Mostert, the backup running back. He showed promise. So I don't know if they want to add another running back where they just paid Jerry McKinnon $23 million, $23 million total contract. So I don't know. And they're trying to get Antonio Brown. So I don't think they'll go off Le'Veon Bell. That's why I say the top two landing spots ideally will be the Jets and the Raiders.
Yeah. Transitioning to Kyler Murray, there's been a ton of buzz recently about the potential that the Cardinals could pick him with the number 1 overall pick. And if you look at the video of Cliff Kingsbury, talking about I don't know if it was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, but he was saying like I would definitely consider taking. It may have even been more recent than that, but he was talking about I would definitely consider taking Murray if he was up for grabs. And last year with Rosen, they traded their third and fifth round picks to move up to acquire him, and started 13 games. Nothing groundbreaking that would just make you feel as though this is the guy forward. But obviously, what's his rookie year, and there were ups and downs in that stretch. But the thing with me is, either the Cardinals are drumming up interest, almost maybe trying to use reverse psychology and try to motivate Rosen to work even harder to keep his starting job, or there's just serious interest in Murray, and there's a potential that they're going to make an asking price. They're going to use a asking price that they feel as though they'll get something in return, significant in return for Rosen. But what are your thoughts on the just the possibility of them going of trying to go after Murray, and also just are you ready? Do you feel as though that may be like a too rash of a decision just to leave Rosen after he started 13 games?
I think so, and to risk that on a 1-year wonder who has a lot of work to do before he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Don't get me wrong, he does have the necessary tangibles to get him started, but I don't think he has the hidden factors that some quarterbacks have inside them already, that you just don't have to tap into the potential. They already can go into like a Baker Mayfield who stayed 4 years and worked his butt off to be that type of quarterback. Not saying he doesn't can emulate Baker Mayfield or even go further than him, but I'm just saying 1-year wonder. He eyes down receivers. He's fidgety in the pocket sometimes. I can read you a laundry list of things he needs to work on, but to say that you draft another quarterback, which you do not need, you need another wide receiver because you don't have any. Larry Fitzgerald's old guy. Their wide receiver core is undeveloped. The running game was non-existent. David coming back from the injury, and the offensive line looked terrible. Like I said, they have no wide receiver core. Defense looked godly. The front seven looked terrible at times. So it wasn't just Josh Rosen's play that had them looking atrocious this last year. So why would you go get another quarterback? Well, you gave him the reins. Go get offensive lineman. Go get another wide receiver. Go to get
a defensive lineman like Bosa.
Yeah. Go get a pass rusher. Go get another cornerback to line up with Patrick Peterson, who's been the most consistent DB in the NFL since he left LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a quarterback. I'm not taking anything from Kyler. Kyler's going to sit regardless. He's not going to come in and start. If he does, then I'm completely surprised they take a risk on a 1-year wonder.
So you don't think he could be another version of Russell Wilson?
No. Russell played more football though, because he played with NC State, and then he also played with Wisconsin. No, is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin is senior year, right?
Yeah, he played a couple years
with NC State.
And then it's so many things you have to. I think the upside for that, he has an offensive coordinator who loves a 5-wide spread. He loves a dual threat quarterback who can sling the ball. And Kingsbury, whatever his name is,
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury from Texas Tech.
I was mixing up Cliff and King.
Right, because I was like, I can't remember his name. I'm saying my life.
Exactly.
But he likes those types of quarterbacks.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Maybe he's like, look, I've always worked well with the Johnny Manziels, the Baker Mayfields, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, and the Kyler Murray. He fits into that more than Josh Rosen does. Josh Rosen is more of your traditional West Coast type quarterback.
True, but you already wasted money on Josh. If if anything, you'll get a third round draft pick for Josh Rosen, even though
Mm.
he was a 10th round pick last year. I'd rather invest in him, give him weapons, because he's just like Jared. They gave Jared a shot. Jared's not a big time quarterback. Let's not get it twisted. He wasn't a big time quarterback coming out of Cal for me. But they gave him weapons. They gave him enough people so they can kind of like, okay. And they beefed up their defense to save him. They
Hmm.
didn't save him in the Super Bowl, but that's what you do. You don't need a big time quarterback or a flashy quarterback or a 1 year wonder to bring your team back. Now he's going to make some great plays on his legs and extending plays, but I'd rather you not spend that draft pick, that big money draft pick, on somebody that's a 1 year wonder.
I'm sorry, Savon. A highlight reel of all of the inerrant throws Jared Goff was making in the Super Bowl have just been flashing through my mind as we
Man,
what a nightmare.
he's been unraveled. The veil has lifted from a lot of spectators and a lot of people's eyes that Jared Goff is a dumpster fire surrounded by gems.
Who pretty much needs a perfect system by Sean McVay to be able to have ensured success.
And that's the same thing with Kyler Murray. He's going to have to go there with a great offensive coordinator, a decent offensive line, which the Cardinals do not have.
Exactly.
A decent wide receiver core, which they do not have. Now, I think that 1-2 punch with him and David might be a great ordeal, but that's it. Yeah. That's it. Go get a wide receiver. Go get some fresh legs in there. Get a tight end. Go get a D lineman. Stop the quarterback position. Come on. You have better needs to go to get another quarterback. You just got a quarterback. You sound like the Redskins.
who just got Case Keenum.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoop-de-doo. Exactly. They're going to watch they draft the quarterback.
Oh, goodness. Just quarterback galore, Savon.
Watch they draft a quarterback. I don't care what round they're going to draft a quarterback.
Just ineptitude. Ineptitude at its finest. Transitioning to the Pistons, transitioning to the NBA, the Pistons, they're back in the playoff picture, 6th in the East, and they got a huge win over Toronto last Sunday night. And in the past 13 games, they've had the 4th most efficient offense in the league and the 4th best defense, and they've been scoring 118.1 points per 100 possessions, which is something that is probably not likely sustainable, given how efficient and the high usage rate that they've been scoring at, which is something difficult to sustain over, the last, 17 games of a season. But I think the bright spot is their players are peaking at the right time. Like Reggie Jackson, he's been up and down for most of his career, but he's averaging, 20 points, 5 assists per game and shooting 48% from 3 on 13 attempts per game. And Griffin's been the foundation. He's career percentage 36% from 3 and big numbers across the board. And now they're at a position where, if they can hold on to the 6th spot, they won't have to face Toronto or Milwaukee in the first round. They could possibly face the Pacers, which is a more favorable matchup. And the franchise is given, more hope for this particular season. But what have been your thoughts on their recent surge and just what player has kind of stood out to you the most and what they're trying to, finish out?
It's 3 players that stand out the most, and one, of course, is Blake Griffin from the trade from the LA Clippers that I left me and all. But they kind of went away from running the offense through him instead of letting him find his way throughout the offense, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because that kind of stifled Reggie Jackson, and he became a catch-and-shoot guy. And that's not Jackson's MO. He's a guy who can put the ball down. He can catch and shoot, but he's not that type of guy. He needs the ball in his hands, and they kind of trying to transition him back to that. And his percentage went up, but the guy that stands out the most right now, finally, welcome back, Drummond. Where have you been, son?
Yeah.
Where have you been? He's playing lights out. And I think it starts when he's hitting better free throws. He's playing aggressive defense. He's actually contributing to the offensive side. They're stepping up. Reggie Jackson is shooting better. These guys are Johnny. They're finally stepping up. And I think running the offense through Blake Griffin was a big mistake. The Clippers tried to do it with Chris Paul left. You can't run offense through Blake Griffin.
Exactly.
He's better. His shot is better from three. He's better in the post game, but he's not that type of guy to run offense throughout. He's not a LeBron James. He's not a Kevin Durant. He's not even a Carmelo Anthony, even though he's not in the league anymore. But he's not that guy.
Where are you, Carmelo?
I like Carmelo. But
I do.
He's not at that point of his game just yet to run offense through him. And I know they want to because they pay big money for him and they're trying to force him to be that. But your offense doesn't move fluently. And for the past 12 games, they won 10 out of 12 games.
If some team in LA could have possibly made the postseason, he may be on a team. But never mind. Whatever.
Yeah, and then I think they asked too much of him at the Clippers after Chris Paul left, and that kind of just put a damper on the relationship from the front office, and that's where he got traded. So, but no, Drummond is playing lights out. That's a surprise for him because coming in, he's only 25 too. Coming in, he was looked at could he be the next big man, but he kind of stood in the shadows because he was inconsistent. Now, if he can stay on top of this game, they're number 6. I don't think they'll pass the Celtics for number 5 spot, but they're in a good spot to be able to kind of go past the first round. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But if Drummond continues to play like he's playing and averaging, I forgot what is his numbers?
21 and 16.
21 and 16. That's a big jump from last year and the previous years. But he's so inconsistent. That's why he's not considered top 5 big man. When he first came in, he was.
And this is I think if you want to know when a team is likely to be ensured to win, if Andre Drummond has more than 20 has 20 or more rebounds, the Pistons are likely going to win because they're 16-3 when he has 20 or more rebounds. And like you said, he's really had a transformational type year, and so has Blake Griffin. But in terms of this overall, is a second round, is at least getting to the second round, probably the most successful outcome this team could have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Especially coming out the East, knowing the East has been godly after King James has left, but them even making the playoffs because they started off terrible and winning the last 10 of your 12 games, playing great basketball, and then clinching not clinching, but being in the 6 spots right behind the Boston Celtics, where I thought they could be top 3. But I think it's a win already for them. It's a win already for them because now you can see the potential that you have as a basketball team, especially let Reggie Jackson loose. I think Reggie Jackson is literally like a Victor Oladipo. Let him loose. If he finds the right team, the right spot.
You think he has that upside?
I think he does because when he was with OKC, he was a backup, but he still showed extremely promise. So when he went to the Pistons, I thought they were gonna let him loose, but they didn't. And when they got Blake Griffin, that even made it to make him a catch and shoot type player. That's not his MO. He's a guy who needs the ball in his hands to see and put the ball on the ground. And they're starting to do that more, which and you can see the progress they're making because when they beat in overtime, they beat Toronto overtime. He was letting it loose. They're running up. I've seen Blake a couple times telling Point, give Reggie the ball. And that's when the offense is moving well. Give Reggie the ball. Don't give me the ball. Give Reggie the ball. And he came down and shot a 3. Fire. So just let Reggie loose. Let Reggie loose. I think he has that upside because we didn't know Victor was a dunker.
Exactly. Because when he was having to play more off the ball with Westbrook, we did not see what we saw last year. Last year he was like top 5, I think, in MVP candidacy. So
let him loose. Let him loose. But certain guys don't like it. It's all about roles. But those roles have to change to benefit the team because once again, all you listeners out there, Blake Griffin is not the type of guy you run an offense with.
Yeah.
he's not that guy to run offense. Throughout. Nah, that's not his MO. Not yet, even. I don't think it will ever be. What you think?
So I honestly just don't see that happening because last year, the Clippers, they made that infamous pitch about you'll be a lifelong Clipper. Like this team's going to be yours. And then midway, through the season, they're like, you know what? We can accumulate more assets. We possibly can get Kawhi Leonard in a couple of years. Okay. Goodbye, Kawhi. Goodbye, Blake. It's just like they knew the fact that look, the Clippers are seventh right now currently in the West. And they're still, they're poised to make the postseason and possibly get they're still the favorites to get Kawhi. And so when you have and I know we're going on a tangent about the Clippers, but it's interesting to me this offseason, the Clippers, they're in a better just overall organizational standing than the Lakers are. Than the big brother in LA is, because they knew that just building around Blake and you'd probably be a middling team, not having that much upside was probably not the best outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
Transitioning to Utah, they've won 18 of their last 26, and just it almost seems like when the calendar flips, that's when that's when Utah's at their best, because we talk about how the Warriors are the best third quarter team. I guess Utah has the championship belt for the best second half team, because whenever the second half of the season starts, they're just on a surge, and they were, even when they were 18 and 19 starting out of the gate, they were still third in defensive efficiency. And that's where it all starts with Utah. Their defense is their starting point. And Kyle Korver has been shooting 41% from three on a career high, 9.1 attempts per 36 minutes. And, obviously Donovan Mitchell is, the primary source of offense, in the half court, he gives them the shot creation. And he's averaging 27.3 points, 5.2 assists, and 4.6 rebounds, and shooting 37% from three compared to 29%. And coming into this season, I felt as though this was going to be the second best team in the West. I really felt as though with what they had ending the year 29-5. And then what Gobert was doing, and then Mitchell, having another year of ascension, and them recently beating the Nuggets and Milwaukee, which is, two of the best teams in the league. I felt as though, this team was going to take that massive of a jump. And obviously, I think they're fifth in the West and possibly could get to the third spot. But what have you seen in their ascension, and, just how much of a dark horse is this team with how Mitchell's been looking recently?
Mitchell has been playing lights out. I was afraid of the sophomore slump.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of players go through that slump, but he's moving with haste, man. He finally broke the record, 3,000 points, career points in 139 games. That's a fast pace. That's a fast number. The guy is a great basketball player. He's continuing to rise. I think Gobert is playing better on offense, because we knew he was, up for the defense the year award, which I think he would have got. I'm tired of seeing these other guys get into a big man. What happened to the days when big men won defensive player of the year? But I'm biased. I'm definitely biased. You know that, Wellington.
Of course.
But they're playing great basketball in Derek Favors, what people do not talk about. They don't talk about Derek Favors anymore. And it's kind of crazy. Without him and Gobert, I think their offense, Rubio, it's old. Donovan Mitchell is playing lights out, but those two big men right there are keeping this team alive. And Gobert is really surprising me on the offensive side, because I just knew him as the guy who blocked everybody's shot in captivity. Like, he's the guy who blocks Jesus' shot. just playing. Don't strike me down, Lord. But he blocks everybody's shot. He's the defensive guy. He's the defensive,
no lightning strikes.
No lightning strikes, please. He's the guy who has that presence,
right.
that dominant presence in the paint. And then Derek Favors is a guy. They're kind of like a 1-2 punch, not like a Admiral or the big fundamental. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They do enough to sustain this offense. And when you have Donovan Mitchell averaging what 25 points a game.
Yeah, or I think 27 actually. He's 9th in scoring.
Ooh, yeah. And surpassing 3,000 career points at 139 games. That's unheard of. That's one of the fastest paces I've heard of in basketball, to be honest. But to say that I thought they were going to be like number 2 in the West, no.
Really?
I didn't think that at all. In the West,
I mean, they can finish 3rd in the West.
I don't see them finishing 3rd in the West. Well,
no, I'm not saying they were, but I'm just saying with what I felt as though with what Houston lost defensively. Yeah, I'm not saying now. I'm not saying that. Obviously, like it's played out differently. Like we thought a lot of things were going to happen before the season, and they haven't. But I just felt as though with what Houston lost, I did not expect Paul George to have the type of year he had. Obviously, and that's they're obviously more of a threat than Utah. But yeah, coming in, it's just with their defensive, just. Obviously, they're still a top 3 defensive team, and they were when they were below 500 and Donovan Mitchell's ascension. It seemed like that was a possibility. Obviously.
Yeah, I don't think I thought that. Even though, even the playoffs, it still left like a bitter taste in my mouth.
With how it ended with Houston.
Yeah, okay.
How
it ended, and I was like, I'm not sure. They're not ready yet. And then they had some identity issues in the summer. They were going to get Favors back.
Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, Rick, they're not the biggest threats to Golden State in the West. We were having that conversation with Andrea with OKC, Houston, Denver, and they're not even in that tier.
No, they're not in that discussion. No, not yet. But I mean, they have major potential in Donovan. But I'm looking at the future. Rubio retires here shortly. Favors retires here shortly, probably in the next 2 years, because he's been in the league since forever. He's been with the same team. That's what I like about Favors. He's been consistent, and no one talks about him. I'm big on guys who don't get their justice. Yeah, and then Jake Crowder, Cal Korver, he's going to retire here shortly. I'm just looking at future Grayson. Oh, I'm not going to say Grayson Allen's name. Oh, God. But
here we go.
I'm looking I'm just looking at the future of the basketball team, and their future doesn't look great at all unless they make some big time moves. But right now, I don't see them. Donovan Mitchell's going to be by his lonesome here shortly. Like I don't know who they'll get in the draft because, but just imagine this. I don't know. It probably won't be a possibility if they got Zion to go with Donovan. To play the 3, move Ingles to the 4.
Wow.
I think that would be a good matchup. Or move
formidable.
Donovan to the point. Well, I think Donovan can run point. He's ran point a couple times.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, and then move Zion to the 2 or 3 because Zion can play any position on the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a nasty lineup, but that's it'll probably won't. I think you put Zion in any lineup, you're like,
positionless basketball.
Yes.
He's the epitome of what positionless basketball has become.
Yeah.
You can't subjugate him to just one position. Like you just can't do that with Zion.
He's the next great.
Yeah.
He's the next great. Before we move on to that, it was Kevin Garnett and Dwayne Wade. This video just came out them talking about it can't be one greatest GOAT of all time.
Kevin Garnett was pretty much essentially like shaming LeBron for load management, not playing back-to-backs.
Right, and then Dwayne Wade definitely stepped in. And
he was like, really? That's my guy.
Like, no one has done what LeBron has done. Yeah. It's like eras. Like, Kevin Garnett was considered one of the best players of all time in the era, but it was too many of them. So, and just like Dwayne Wade said, it's going to be another guy that comes in and does things that we never seen before.
Yeah.
That's Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I would definitely think like we can all agree LeBron's the greatest player of this generation.
Yes,
And
most def.
there's a really good shot Zion's that next guy.
It
You know,
has to be.
yeah.
The game has been given to him. Now, what's going to be interesting
It's
is what
just
I know.
what city's going to be the lucky benefiter from it. Like that's the
Yeah,
most one of the most enticing just outcomes of this NBA offseason.
yeah. And then we'll hopefully that freak of a nature of an injury didn't really start
Didn't set him
anything.
back a little.
Yeah, it said definitely don't think the draft stop set him back.
No.
It said the draft stop, but it's just saying that we thought he was invincible, and then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So, but everybody's still
do
giving
you
him
think
that.
any league do you think any league executives really need to see anything from him this March Madness, or do you think they've seen enough?
No, they need to see a little more.
See a little more.
See a guy who can lead a team, and who can lead a team through adversity. And we kind of did see that when they played Gonzaga. He was still a
RJ was actually more of that generator.
Yes. So that's we all know that players have the tangible, they can score, they can play defense, but can they lead a team? Perfect example, Stephon Marbury, one of the greatest guards ever, but he couldn't lead a team. He was a weird guy. He had this aura about him that didn't really like people, so he couldn't lead a basketball team. He's one of the best finishers at the rim. He could get by anybody, including Kobe Bryant in his prime, but he couldn't lead a basketball team. They did go to what I think they went deep into the playoffs when he had Amari Stoudemire came in. They went pretty deep with the Phoenix Suns, but then he went to China. Like, he couldn't lead a basketball team, so they're looking for every single thing. That's why LeBron James is considered one of the greatest of all time, because he can lead a basketball team. He can be a field general. He can be all those things outside of scoring a basketball in the net. So executives are looking at Zion. Can you lead a team? Can you pick your team up in adversity? How big are you to your team? And can you coach your team up when you're not there? And this is going to be a big test for him because he's still hurt. He's still out. And they're still having some troubles without him. They're winning, but they're still having troubles without him. Can you build your team up to win and be successful when you're not in there?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Transitioning to the Phoenix Suns, they haven't made the postseason since 2010. Currently have 5 lottery picks under age, that they've acquired under age 23, and don't really have, and don't really have a clear direction. This is one of the teams where we even when Philly was doing what they were doing, we kind of saw what their trajectory was, what their goal was. It was to acquire top 5 level talents and get lucky with just pretty much throwing the season away. And they're on pace to win less than 25 games for the 4th consecutive year. And Kevin Arnovitz, ESPN NBA insider and writer, he in his article about the Suns kind of organizational dysfunction, he said, quote, a couple months back, one NBA front office met in its basketball operations conference room to classify the organizational imperatives of each of its 29 rivals. Their assessments were definitive. The Atlanta Hawks were focused on player development and asset acquisition. The Philadelphia 76ers were accelerating their timetable and chasing a title. The LA Clippers were in transition, pursuing multiple tracks simultaneously, end quote. And then he says, when it came to identify the broad objectives of the Suns, the group was at a loss, end quote. And that's kind of the thing. There's just, what are they going after? What are they looking for? Devin Booker got a max contract this past offseason. They have DeAndre Ayton, but there's really no just discernible path that makes logical sense. But in terms of what this what direction, where this team is currently projected, and the fact that you have a guy like Devin Booker and you don't want to waste his prime years, what are your thoughts on this organization?
This organization is an organization that does not know how to pick players.
Yeah.
And it's sad that they've had a bunch of big-time lottery picks. And I'm just going to read some off. Alex Len didn't pan out. T.J. Warren didn't pan out. Devin Booker is in the midst of being a great basketball player. Josh Jackson isn't panning out. DeAndre Ayton, I'm still big on him. That's still my guy.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully he pans out because
I mean, he's shown more defensive upside.
Promise.
You know, I mean, him defending Giannis during stretches of, you know, their close win.
He's done well. And then them kind of containing LeBron James when they beat them. But I think it's Kelly Oubre. Oubre is their guy that needs to be paid. That's the direction they need to go to because he's been, since Booker's been out, he's been playing lights out for them. He was, and to get the Lakers, he had 27 and 14 or 27 and 11, one of those. But they have a hard time picking a guy who they're going to go all in on. And they thought it was Josh Jackson. They thought it was Dragan Bender. I don't think he's on a Dragan. Thank you, Dragan Bender. That's why you get paid the big bucks, man. Devin Booker, T.J. Warren, Alex Len. The only guy I think it kind of like panned out was Sean Marion and Amari Stoudemire. That was 1999 and 2002.
Yeah.
Well, I would say Amari kind of declined.
And that last,
but when we first
go ahead.
No.
And that Western Conference Finals in 2010 when they like pushed the Lakers to 6. Like, did you think, okay, like they may never be at this point again, or did you think like, okay, in a few years, you know, they'll probably be fine, you know, like they'll still be a competent team.
Well, you know,
because that is such a drastic drop off.
Yes, and then they drafted Markieff Morris, who was highly sought out. Him and his brother was highly sought out for out of college. Sorry. And I thought he was going to make an impact, but he didn't. And then they go in on the wrong players. It is so sad. If they get, I don't know who they'll go after this year. I haven't like looked at the draft lottery and the potential players that they could benefit from. But I don't know who they get. You go get a big man because you needed a big man because Alex Len is not planning out. You go get a guard the year before. He's not panning out. Like, what direction do you want to go into? Then you pay Devin Booker all this money. Then he gets hurt. And then you have to pay Oubre. It's just I don't know what they're trying to do. And, you know, normally spectators was like, okay, this is what they're trying to do. Speculate, oh, maybe they're trying to do this or that. I don't know what they're trying to do, well, I think.
Yeah. And
the fact that they don't know what they're trying to do, it's even worse than spectators who not even the organization, who just guessing most of the time, don't know what to do. I don't.
Is it drastic difference or vast difference? Which one is it? I think I just made a verbal blunder.
When?
I was talking about that when I was mentioning the 2010 Western Conference Finals, I was saying, you know, from where they were, it's such a drastic difference from now. Is it vast?
It's vast.
Okay. I apologize. I apologize, Full Scope listeners. I'm sorry.
Wait, Wellington. Really? Mid-city's like, is it drastic?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Because normally it's me that mispronounce words, and then Wellington has to pick me back up because he's been hearing these words or knows how to pronounce these words, and then once I get an opportunity to correct Wellington, I miss it. Come on, Full Scope. Come on, guys. We gotta get together. Well, the last 2 weeks I've been asking questions. Now I miss a blunder.
I know.
That's crazy.
Oh. But like currently, because you know they've gotten guys like Jamal Crawford, Trevor Ariza, and do you think Eric Bledsoe? Do you think in some way like they try to be like, okay, if we can't be immediately competitive now, let's at least get veteran guys who can maybe accelerate the process a little more, and even that still hasn't really worked.
Nope, it hasn't. And Trevor Ariza's not a bad guy. I mean, bad player.
Right.
It's just they
And
have
we
bad
felt as though
stuff.
it was, and we thought, a 1 year, I think 15 million deal. That was he was important for the Rockets, but he wasn't just completely the difference maker. And a lot of people felt as though obviously like they were going to take a bit of a regression, but he wasn't that much of a difference maker, even going to a younger team.
Who's that, Trevor?
Yeah, Trevor Ariza.
That's interesting. That's because they've tried everything. They tried bringing Shaquille O'Neal in
Right.
there. They, it's so much stuff in this organization that hasn't panned out to be.
Yeah.
What can they do to turn it? It's not even a process for them. It's just, where do we go? If you build it, they will come. They haven't built anything. They're trying. I'll give them this. Just trying to find it.
Right.
I don't know if Booker is it with quotations around it, but they have They have three upsides. That's DeAndre. That's Oubre, and that's Booker. That's the upside. Everybody else is collateral damage. Now you build around that. That's your big three. You build
So the
around
Phoenix
that.
Suns are collateral damage. All right.
Yeah,
It was a great show, guys.
No, they're just a team like, oh man, we need an extra team. Who can we put in here to make it even?
All right, the Phoenix Suns.
Phoenix Suns. Oh my God, how can we forget?
Yeah.
That's sad, man. It's been a long time since Sean Marion, Steve Nash, and all those guys killing it on the basketball court. It's been a while. They haven't been good in a
Those are
long,
ancient
long
days.
time. Ancient days. And that's when Steve Nash started with the Mavericks, right?
No, started with the Mavericks, yeah.
Yeah, with Jermichael Finley, Dirk Nowitzki, yeah, and then he went to the Suns.
Could Doncic and Porzingis be the next Nash and Nowitzki?
Oh, yeah. No.
I have to mention Luka Doncic at least once.
Look, those guys were healthy.
Speaking of Luka, who's your rookie of the year person right now? Has Trae Young surpassed him?
No.
I mean, he's averaging 24 and 8.
Still Luka, hands down. It's Luka hands down. If he loses, it's a fluke. It's rigged. He's been playing I'll give you that. He's been playing lights out. He's becoming more consistent.
And the comparison between them, because the Hawks traded Luka to get Trae Young to move up, and that night and that trade is always going to be just constantly just talked about and speculated, because Trae Young mentioned like he hopes they can be like the next Magic and Bird, have that type of rivalry, but just the comparison of at one point it was looking like, okay, the Mavericks ran away with it, they got a steal, but now it's looking like there's more equity and it's not just a runaway, like one team just completely just fleeced the other one.
True. And I think they did that because when they did go on that streak, they averaged their 3-point percentage was better than anybody else's in the league, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
It was.
I try to look it up real fast before you dish it back to me on my computer, but I think they're three because they had Kyle Korver. I think Crowder was still there. Jeff Teague was raining from threes. That Schroeder was raining from threes.
Al Horford?
Al Horford was raining from threes?
No.
No, Al Horford definitely was there.
Yeah, but
I don't think he was raining.
He wasn't. I feel like he's taken a ton of more attempts in Boston than back in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I don't even think he really reached out there.
Yeah, their percentage. Yeah, their percentage was. Let's see, 2014. Yeah, they had the best record. Let's see what their 3-point percentage was. Since we're live, we can do this. Yeah, it was.
They didn't have a Giannis. Mike Budenholzer says he has a Giannis now. They didn't have a Giannis.
True, but I think
it's a 61 team.
Not Falcons.
Falcons. 28-3. Lonely.
The Hawks was looking for a guy who would come in because he'll shoot it, but he's also a dime pusher.
Yeah.
I think that's what they liked about Trae Young so much. He's also a guy who could take risks at 3-point, but he's a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
He's an overall point guard. I think that's why they took a chance on him. But Luka definitely is Rookie of the Year. I'll have to give him that. Only reason why I was so like I wasn't big on him because the team wasn't big on him yet. They didn't trust him. But now they trust him. They see what he can do, and now okay, I'm on board. But I'm not on the bandwagon.
You didn't think Luka would pan out? It's okay to say it.
I didn't say that.
I
didn't say that. But I'm saying I thought it did take a while for them to get used to him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the language barrier, or maybe Dirk kind of stepped in, like, all right, guys, he's the man. Because Dirk is like the grandfather of everybody. He's a guy who runs weird, shoots. Have you seen? I forgot who mimicked him. It was like to a T, like dribbling, shooting, and like him running down the court wobbling because he's too bad. It was really funny. But yeah, he's the grandfather of the team, so they probably, I don't know, kind of like made a team meeting. Like, okay, Luka is the guy, passing the ball.
But before we wrap up, we were talking about the Celtics last week, and Gordon Hayward had a phenomenal performance against the Warriors. I think 30 or 33 points, and then a game winner against Sacramento last night. Real quick, what has kind of stood out to you in these last two games with what he's been doing, and is there any changing in terms of your opinion about the tide turning? Because it's funny, after the Warriors game, I saw somebody the next day and they were like, what about those Celtics? You already counted them out. I'm like, guys, it's one game. It was a very impressive game, but if we can see this over a significant stretch, then maybe but it's only been 2 games.
Exactly. And even though I don't want to say they play down to their competition, but I definitely think they play up to their competition. They play when they have to play. Like, it's like, okay, we got to band together because we're not going to beat the Warriors with us divided. But do that every game. Why can't you do that every game?
Yeah. Like I can't fully buy this stock until I see them do this like consistently over like a 10-game stretch.
Like they did last year. And even before Kyrie was hurt, they went on an unbelievable streak that even the head coach was like, I don't even know how we're doing this. Because we look like crap, but we're still on a winning streak. It was 20 games?
Yeah, 20.
20 games?
No, it was 16. Yeah, it was 16.
Yeah, okay.
They beat the Warriors over that stretch too.
So I'm with you. I can't buy in until they do it consistently. Now, when it comes down to it, can they beat the Warriors? Obviously,
yeah.
But in 7 games, no, they cannot. Not playing like loose like that and not playing as a team.
Yeah.
You have to have your A game 7 games for the Warriors. Because if you punch them, best believe they're going to get their cousins, their brothers, and grandma. Because grandma goes like, hit them, baby. Hit them right there. Hit them. They going to
the perfect street fighting out.
They're coming back with the full force. You better, if you hit them game 1, or you best believe game 2, they're coming back with full force.
E40.
E40. Oh, because he's a Warriors fan.
Yeah, he's okay. He almost any Warriors game. On TNT, like you'll see him in the background. You're like, okay, he's just sold out Warriors fan.
No, E40 is a funny guy, man.
Yeah,
like his words are like just make you want to say, "Yep, he didn't graduate." No,
he didn't have a GED.
He never graduated from high school, though.
But yeah. So with Hayward, you feel as though are you confident that this can consistently happen, or is it like we were just saying, like you have to see this over like probably the last 16 games of the season to like fully to just kind of like believe that he really has turned the tide?
Almost deaf, and I think it's all in the role that he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think inadvertently he's become like the guy who's been forgotten on that team. Because you still have it's always Kyrie and the young guys feud, and it's like, okay, oh crap, we got Gordon. And I
Exactly.
think teams have
He
forgot
gets lost
about
in the
him
shuffle.
too. Yeah, and they forgot about him too from the injury, and now trying to find his identity, his role on this basketball team, all this talent, and then you kind of forget about him in the limbo, like you just said. So that allows him to step up and hit big shots. Because if you don't think he can do it, then you're gonna give him the opportunity to do it. That it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense because you see what he did with the Utah Jazz for all those years before he came over here.
Mm-hmm.
Why give him the opportunity to show you, prove you wrong? So
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down. He gets lost in the limbo.
Yeah, well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Warren Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.